Katarina Cruz, and this is Behind the Niche with K-Mag.
Hi everyone, my name is Anisha and I'm the host of K-Mag's new segment Behind the Niche. Today I have the pleasure of speaking with an amazing content creator I've been following for a while now, and I'm going to let her introduce herself.
Hi, my name is Katarina Cruz. I make Star Wars content. I focus a lot on the Bad Batch, a lot of animated projects, and basically just anything I can get my hands on in the world of Star Wars.
Amazing. Okay, so for those who don't really follow the fandom that much, how would you explain this experience of being in this fandom, especially being attached to the Bad Batch?
I'd say it's definitely a mixed bag. I mean, there's so many different niches of the Star Wars community. I'd say at the heart of it, it's a lot of light. There's a lot of great people out there, very welcoming. I've been fortunate to have been welcomed with open arms, and I think the Bad Batch is one of the more niche corners. And that one, I think definitely a lot of people feel more free to like let loose, be themselves, and just kind of go die hard into the Bad Batch.
Yeah, that's amazing. So, what inspired you to like start creating Star Wars content, and why did you gravitate towards the Bad Batch?
Yeah, I started making content, I think around probably 22, 23, right before season two started airing. And I was in the midst of college. I felt a little bit isolated just after COVID. There were so many different changes that were happening in my life. I was a high school COVID grad, so definitely an era of change is just kind of what a lot of people experienced. And I think because of that, I wanted a place and community to kind of explore these passions that I had and hopefully find more people who had similar interests. And the Bad Batch is one that I feel I really resonated with because it explored that sort of theme of change and family at the heart of it. So I really related to it.
That's amazing. And I know throughout your journey, Star Wars, the official account, actually followed you on TikTok. So, how is that feeling of like being recognized by Star Wars?
That was crazy. When I saw it, I was like, okay, this is like a fake account. Like, no way this is real. And it was like, lo and behold, I've gotten so many amazing opportunities because of it, but also just so many memories that I've gotten to make with people. Like, I never expected to make friends because of that. And they've opened up like a whole new world for me. It's been so cool. They continue to like reach out and respond, and they really are so engaged with like their fans. Like, they could reach out to like crazy big influencers and time again they reach out to like small creators or just genuine fans who love sharing their passion for this fandom.
Yeah, that's great. And I know you've also met Ashley Eckstein and for those who don't know, she is the voice of Ahsoka Tano in the animation series for Star Wars. So what was that experience like, and how has she influenced your Star Wars journey?
Oh my gosh, she's incredible. She's a ball of light. If you guys meet her, she's truly like Ahsoka Tano incarnate. Like, you are meeting her full embodiment. When I met her, it was like a kind of whim experience. Like, I told my sister, I was like, hey, she's gonna be at Disneyland, so let's drive and meet her. And we waited in the sun in the summer for hours, and it was so worth it. She made us feel like we were like the only people she was talking to. Next time we saw her, same experience at Disneyland. She remembered us, which was crazy because like she met so many people, she continues to meet so many people, and she really just is such like a great advocate for mental health and just being like a kind, good person. And she really is just so cool. And Ahsoka is obviously like one of the main animated figures of the Star Wars world, and I really do resonate with her. She has such grit and grace, and that was probably one of the first Star Wars characters that I really felt I could see myself in. So meeting Ashley was like a crazy, awesome experience.
Yeah, I definitely want to meet her. She seems like such a like joyful person. What's your favorite thing about being a part of the Star Wars fandom, especially as a creator?
Oh my gosh, I guess as a creator, just really connecting with others. I did not think at all when I kind of jumped into this. I thought maybe like one person will watch me for some reason. And then I just kept getting a bunch more people who'd come back to my page. And then we just have like conversations after episodes of The Bad Batch or everything else that goes on in this world. And so really getting to like know so many people who love the same things that I do, and just kind of creating like a great environment around that. It's just been super cool.
That's amazing. I have to ask because I know with Star Wars, there's definitely people like on the spectrum of being very critical versus not being very critical and just enjoying without being or seeing all the reviews and getting reviewed bomb. So what are some misconceptions that you think people have about Star Wars or maybe the Bad Batch specifically, as a content creator?
Yeah, I mean, I've gotten to see both sides of it. I think with the Bad Batch, it definitely was so, I felt kind of sheltered. I didn't even realize that at the time, but I felt so welcomed by people. They were always just kind of engaging in the same way I was, which was like a not normal amount. And then so going from that to like what the response of the acolyte was so stark and different because it was like there was people who just came in like with very closed minds, very negative, very selective about who could say what and who could like it and who could contribute to the franchise. So seeing that really kind of did bring me down a bit just because I didn't realize how unwelcoming people are towards especially women in this franchise and in just women who love science fiction or Star Wars. Oh gosh, it was so crazy. But then at the same time, you get to see the adverse effects of it and just how many more people are trying to just spread positivity as much as they can. And so it's just a mixed bag. Just yeah.
Yeah, I definitely get that, especially being a part of other fandoms as well. My first fandom that I was part of was Marvel. And that was an uphill road for a while. And then when COVID hit, I started to see a lot of differences in the community. So totally get that, especially when Captain Marvel came out, speaking to your point about women, that was just a really chaotic time. Glad that's kind of passing over now, though. So focusing a little bit more on the Bad Batch now, because that's kind of what your niche is. This might be hard for you to choose, but do you have a favorite member and why?
Okay, I feel I do actually have one, and it might be a cop out, but I'm gonna say Omega.
Okay.
Just because, you know, I know she's not probably the like original members of the Bad Batch, but I do really feel like she kind of is the glue that holds them together throughout the show. They go through an era of change, and I feel like she really is that one constant for them, even for Crosshair, who kind of did come in a bit later and join them. I feel like he really did gravitate towards her, and she has become such a beacon of hope for them and just kind of gives them something to fight for.
Okay, so with that, is that the character that you relate to most, or is there a different character that you relate to?
Okay, well now it feels like I say I like myself the most, but I do like I know. I do relate to her a lot. I feel like, you know, I'm the youngest of all my siblings. I have three older sisters, and just kind of trying to be a person who overcomes adversities. I think she's infinitely better than I will ever be. She definitely holds herself with more grace than I do, but I think that determination and grit and just kind of trying to radiate positivity as best as she can in the circumstances she's given, I try to do that as much as I can.
Yeah, I love that. I'm the youngest too. I have one older sister, so
Real.
we're in the same boat right here.
God.
What do you think makes the Bad Batch such a unique and compelling group within the Star Wars community?
Oh gosh, I think they're just so different. I mean, they are clones at the same time, but their whole kind of brand is them being defective but effective, which I think is kind of a great quote that they say in the show.
Yeah.
And I think I'm like defective and effective, guys. You capture the whole show through that one quote. But yeah, I think that them just kind of being themselves in a time where it's like so discouraged to kind of find your own unique place in the galaxy and then still trying to fight for others. So I think they really do kind of, you know, promote the message of Star Wars, which is like hope and fighting back against regression. I think they embody that. I really love them.
Yeah, I love that too. That's one of the reasons that like kind of drew me to the show. Who do you think is the most underrated Bad Batch character, and what do you wish more people would appreciate about them?
Okay, I'm gonna say Wrecker. I think that Wrecker is probably the most underappreciated. Yeah, I think everybody else has like their own people like love Hunter, his slim waist. People love Ted, he's so quirky, and Crosshair. But Wrecker, I think a lot of people overlooked him just because they think he's like probably too silly, too goofy, a bit immature. But I think he really is super emotionally intelligent and really such a grounded figure in the Bad Batch. And I think people just kind of take him for granted, just thinking that he's like the strong one of the group. But he really is another essential like component of being glue for them, you know, aside Omega. So yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I feel like if he was not in the picture, the whole tone of the show would be way different, and he brings that lightheartedness with Omega. So I love that you mentioned Wrecker because that's who I would pick too. Focusing a little bit more on the content creation side, how has Bad Batch content creation evolved since the show first premiered for you?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of had a lot of like new content coming out when I first started making it. So kind of keeping up the talk about it was a lot more simple. It was just every week we had like a new conversation, we had theories, and now it's kind of resorted more to like headcanons, like, hey guys, what do we think the Batch are doing post, season three? So it's just kind of us having conversations with each other as opposed to like getting new content. But at the same time, we are getting a couple new projects coming our way. So that's been fun. Just getting to look forward to that. Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of projects, for those who don't know, the Bad Batch is 3 seasons. The third season ended last year, sadly. But what do you think is in future for the Bad Batch, both in the universe and in terms of your content creation?
In universe, I hope we get to see them animated again. I do think, besides tech, which I'm not going to say too much in case people haven't watched it, we do kind of get plot armor for a lot of them for like a good portion of time. So I think it's a great opportunity to maybe revisit the Batch, especially Omega. I think she does have a great future. I mean, maybe we could see her work alongside Hera. I have no idea. And then we are getting a book coming out this summer, taking place in between a couple episodes in season two. And then we have some comics coming out. Like currently, they're coming out, I think, until maybe like this summer. So new issue like every month, yeah. And then as for content creation, I just try to bring up any niche thought that comes into my head. Like if I'm rewatching the show and I'm like, hey, I wonder what they were doing in between these two episodes or anything like that. Like if I just have any random thought, I feel the need to share it with whoever I can.
I love it. I love it so much. I got my first Bad Batch comic the other day. It wasn't the new one,
Okay,
but it
yeah.
was one of the hyperspace stories, and they had like
Yes.
a section in it, and I need to get more now. I'm like literally obsessed
Yes.
with it.
It's
But
so good.
yeah, the comics bring another dimension to the characters, which I love. So it's cool to see those like itty bitty stories that, we don't get to see in the show right now. But yeah, so you mentioned the quote defective and effective, and I love that. Is that your favorite quote, or do you have another one that kind of resonates with you more?
Yeah, I mean, I do love that one. There is one that I actually used on my grad cap for when I graduated college. And I think it's Omega. She's talking to another character and she's like, you can be anything you want. It's a big galaxy. And those words were kind of ones that I needed to hear at the time because I felt so constrained by people saying, like, okay, what's your next move? What are you going to do next? And I'm like, I have no idea. So just that, kind of reminder of like, okay, there's so many things you can be in the galaxy. Don't confine yourself to just one thing. I feel like I really needed to hear. So I love that one.
That's amazing. I seen on your TikTok that you bake stuff Star Wars related. Do you have a favorite thing that you've baked for those that don't know about that?
Yeah, I think probably one of my favorite ones. I think it was right before the season two finale. I made like Bad Batch cookies, and that was the first time I had like properly iced cookies with like different colors. I was like freehanding their helmets onto cookies. I spent way too long and made such a big mess. But like it was such a like a high intense like season two finale that I was like, okay, this at least gives me something to do right before, things are about to hit the fan. So those I have like very vivid memories of making just because it was such a, I mean, they turned out, but it was kind of a catastrophe. And I felt that was very symbolic of what was to come in season two.
That's hilarious. If you could collaborate with anyone in the Bad Batch fandom, creator, actor, or artist, who would it be and why?
Oh gosh. I mean, I've had the pleasure, don't know how, but I got to meet the voices for Omega and the Bad Batch, so D. Bradley Baker, Michelle,
Yeah.
and I also got to meet the showrunners, Jennifer Corbett and Brad Rao, which was dream come true. So meeting them was crazy and amazing, but I would love to just have like a one-on-one conversation with the showrunners and just kind of probe their brains about every little aspect of the Bad Batch. I think that would be so cool.
Yeah, I definitely want to meet D. Like it's insane how many voices he does. And to think like when I was first watching the show, or at least Clone Wars, because I didn't know at the time, and then I realized there's only one voice actor for the cons, I was like, hello?
I
He
know.
does not get any time off.
He's literally carrying this franchise. It's insane. Like he does so many different things.
Yeah, I know. Moving on a little bit. So, about the Bad Batch, do you have any like fun or little known facts about the Bad Batch that you can think of that people should know about?
Oh my gosh, people that like fun facts. I'm
Spoiler
trying to
free
think. There's
too.
spoiler free. Sushi comes into play. I'm not going to say too much about that, but I know the animators and showrunners were really excited about like including that in the show. So if you're watching it,
Yeah.
keep an eye out for the sushi that they eat because they put a lot of time and thought into how they would look and how those characters would interact with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely I know which scene you're talking about. And when I saw that, I was like, oh my goodness, this is so adorable.
It's a very rewarding scene too, so I love
Yeah.
that.
All right. So to wrap up, I want to know what's next for you? Anything Bad Batch related or just Star Wars in general, or do you have anything that you want to do?
I hope to continue talking about the Bad Batch, and I hope that people will listen, maybe try to get more people to become Bad Batchers. I'm all about like bringing people on, and I'm also going to Star Wars Celebration in April, so I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, that's so exciting. Okay, is there anything else you'd like to share about Star Wars or Bad Batch?
Everybody, go watch it if you haven't already, and continue to support them through all of the other media that's coming out because I know a lot of the comics have sold out, and so hopefully through that they'll know that a lot of people really want to see more from the Bad Batch, and then we'll get to continue their story.
Amazing. Well, Katarina, it has been amazing speaking with you, and I appreciate the content that you create and not shying away from sharing what you love. I can't wait to see more of your Star Wars videos and whatever the future holds for you. This has been Behind the Niche with Katarina Cruz.